Welcome to episode 5 of the Alchemy of Man Project podcast. As always, I am your host, Nick, and in today's episode, I am joined by the Captain of Ballarat Squad, Tyler. This is a man that has come from strength to strength through his journey in this work. And when I obviously moved across Australia, I left the men's group in his very capable hands, albeit begrudgingly. This dialogue today is an incredible one in that it's just a bit of back and forth. Like most of our conversations between he and I, it's just a very wholesome and bouncing back and forth. And I deeply hope that you enjoy. And of course, I encourage you, if you do enjoy it, to like it, leave a rating, and subscribe for future episodes where I will be having conversations with various men with the primary desire to alchemize and transform conversations around men's mental health. Thank you and enjoy. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I just want to give an opportunity for you to introduce yourself, give a bit of an introduction to you. Let the listeners know who is the man behind the beard.
Yeah. Well, hello, viewers. So, my name is Tyler, 38, hail from Ballarat. Originally a Geelong boy. Moved up here with my partner, Catherine. Got married, built a house, and have been up here for 8, 9, maybe 10 years. I've lost track. I've become acclimatized to the weather. Winters are brutal, summers are pretty hot. It's been pretty good up here. I've actually really enjoyed getting into the Ballarat community and stuff like that. So, which is where I met you.
Funnily enough. Funnily enough. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made the move up to Ballarat so that we could meet. Yeah.
I'm a graphic designer by trade. I work for a company in Melbourne and do a whole bunch of freelance for local businesses, both here and I think I've got a client in the US as well, which is pretty cool. Big horror buff. As you can see, it's been Halloween recently, so I've got some decorations up. Not too sure what else to really say there.
That's perfect. And I guess for context or for direct clarity, you are the captain of Ballarat Squad. So you are the man that is leading the charge, or I passed the torch to you in running the men's group in Ballarat, and you are doing.
I am the captain now.
Yeah, you are the captain now, and you are doing a fantastic job, obviously, with the support of your lieutenant Doug, who I've had on the podcast as well. And so I think it's just really cool, and I just to kick things off, just acknowledging you in what a tremendous job that you are doing in supporting the men, leading the charge. I think I certainly passed it off with great confidence, like passed on the torch with great confidence to you. You have certainly exceeded what I thought. So, yeah.
That's really nice to hear, man. Yeah. I know the questions will come up, and you had sent them to me prior, and I won't skip ahead, but there's definitely some stuff to talk about there.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation, both in the sense of I've just been really enjoying these conversations with the guys, but as well, I really enjoy talking to you. And I think that you and I have some great conversations in private just around, obviously I support you in leading the Ballarat Squad, and we get to bounce ideas off each other. So I've been really looking forward to this, and this is episode 5. So, I think it's a nice milestone that here you are on this call. So thank you.
I made you wait. just like I
Yeah.
made Catherine wait until I asked her to marry me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's just how Tyler plays it.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the first question is, what drew you to this work, man? Like, why men's work? Why Ballarat Squad?
yeah. I guess it came about maybe from a bit of a ear bashing from you. No. In all seriousness, it was connection. I was definitely after connection. Having moved from Geelong to Ballarat, I didn't have that friendship group up here. I certainly had some good mates still in Geelong, which I would go down and see when we could and stuff like that. Life and distance does get in the way. And so I was definitely seeking that up here in Ballarat. And through, connections with you at your gym and through massage, started to meet a few other people. And you're like, hey, well, got this like little group that happens on a Tuesday night. What do you think? And I'm not one of the OG4. I'm that fifth member.
Hey, that works out perfectly in terms of you made us wait. The fifth member to join the fifth episode. The it's all
there we
just
go.
come together like you had it planned all along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I joined. What was it? Just after your first Warrior weekend that the four of you guys had. I wasn't sort of really ready to commit to that as my first introduction to the work, and came in shortly after. Yeah, just seeking that connection, and boy, have I got it. So, and I think the second part to that was something that we'd spoken about actually even prior to me joining. Had a falling out. We sort of parted ways for a little bit, and were able to have like what we call a clearing. And in that was speaking to being a man of my word, making my word good. And that really, really stuck with me. And it still does today. And yeah, I'm like, okay, I need more of this. How do I make my word good? How am I showing up in life not making my word good? And have just really wanted to embody that aspect of it. And through, I think it's it'd be coming up on three years early next year. I've learned so much about how using my words makes who I am come across to other people. And yeah, so I guess they were the main two reasons for joining.
Yeah.
And I didn't have my hands tied behind my back and I was marched in or anything like that. So
yeah. Yeah. No, I mean only slightly. Like the ear bashing is certainly prevalent. But you did join on your own accord, and you did take your time, and you did think about it, and you communicated that. And even though when we were starting, the offer was there, and you were just like, no, I'm not ready yet. And again, that was accepted, and no forcing or anything like that. And yeah, I think it was the February that we started, and then you joined in the April, as you said, just after the first I think it was the Lawn Warrior weekend, which was really cool. And then yeah, I guess it's just you've gone from strength to strength in getting a sense of connection, as you said, and as why you were there. But equally, you really coming into your own sense of power as a man, aligning your word and having a clarity in your word. So yeah, you certainly have fulfilled that. I'm wondering if you could speak to any initial judgments, or maybe speak to what was showing up for you in not being ready, or what was your hesitation in joining, because you weren't gung ho initially.
maybe meeting people, maybe being judged, was probably the like, oh, you showed me some of the videos and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, I'm not like those men. Yeah, that kind of like was like, am I ready for this? Am I the right person for this? And then just like going, well, I want to do something. Might as well just take the plunge, right? Try something new. If something's not working and you do the same thing over and over again, you go mad. I'm like, okay, well, let's just give it a go. And to walk in a group and see yourself, Doug, Joel, Phil, like they're not the guys that I was expecting. And you're all welcoming. I can't remember if all of us, like if hugs were then or if they came later, but I definitely know Phil gave me a hug. And I'm like, okay, this kind of like is weird, but also nice. And yeah, it put me right at ease to just be welcome so openly. So that the judgment that I had that I would be judged about joining this and stuff like that, and was completely, let go straight from the start. So,
yeah, it's interesting that so many of us do seek connection, and yet are kind of scared of it or hold ourselves back from getting a sense of connection or meeting new people, or those ways in which we keep ourselves stuck. It's interesting. And you nailed it. Phil was the only hugger of the group, and bless that man, his legacy lives on in group, because he supported me in being more comfortable with hugs. And so now it's just a thing in group. And as I said, his legacy certainly lives on in group. Now we're the huggers because of that man. So, I think it's a beautiful thing. And I deeply appreciate him bringing his energy to the group and having that stick.
Yeah, it's like why did we feel like we could not as men hug, right? Like, we hug kids and we hug our partners, or or anything like family and all that kind of stuff, but why can't we just hug our bro without being drunk? Like, it's just a wonderful embrace, like to feel supported by another strong man. Gives you the strength, gives you the fire, all that kind of stuff. Like, why is that sort of like stigmatized, or like, oh, you must be gay if you hug another man? It's like, it's bullshit. So
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And it is that embedded homophobic tendency, right? And there's just such a cultural stigma which is changing, thankfully, but it is still very prevalent. That I think it's that, like, yeah, that fear of being judged, and the embedded homophobia, or maybe even like the lack of confidence in self. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like, no, I know that I'm a heterosexual man. I'm confident in that, and I can love another man and not make it sexual. And even embracing a man that I know is sexually orientated towards men, I know that that's safe because I've got me. And so it's just that, again, it's just that fear, it's that cultural stigma that you spoke to, which is really sad, because men missing out. Men are certainly missing out on, as you said, being supported and having that strong embrace. And there's just nothing sexual about it, but it's imprinted in our brain that any sort of embrace is sexual. And I remember you bringing it up. I think it was something that you watched about the guardedness in men, where if men are connecting or embracing, there's always a guard, whether it's like a side embrace or a handshake or an arm in between the heart to heart. And it's the heart to heart that actually is the way in which we can connect and feel safe and feel supported and all these sorts of things. And yeah, again, men are missing out on that because of the cultural stigma.
Yeah, it's no arse out hug. It's all the way in, full embrace. I'm much shorter than a majority of the guys in group, so I do just like get to sort of like, lean my head in or bury my face into like their chest and stuff like that, and they've got me. And that's the thing, like they've got me, they've got my back, they're there for me, and I'm just like hugging in and stuff like that, sharing my love and support for them. And yeah, it's like yeah, start of meeting, end of meeting, catch ups for brekkie, train trips down to work and stuff like that. Wherever, don't care.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's certainly a beautiful thing. I love it, and I just wish that it was more culturally appropriate, because being over here in Perth, like, I'm missing me some hugs. It's again that cultural permission, right? Like, I guess it's kind of like that within group. There's that the rules, or it's just like it's accepted. It's like no, we're good. Like, it's just like there's like a mutual understanding. And so it's just like me going down the street and meeting a guy, and it's just like, he puts out his hand for, to like, oh, good to meet you. I'm just like, oh, yeah. That's what we do in society. So, it's certainly something that I'm missing. And, the online connection is great, but yeah, I'm certainly missing those hugs. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm curious, or maybe you could talk more about your experience. Like, I guess you did touch on why you joined group, and but maybe speak more to what's changed in your life. Go into that a little bit more. Like, how has this work benefited you?
I'd have to say, when was it? It was probably about 6-8 months into doing the work. Turned up to a company Christmas party and was just, chatting with some people and stuff like that, not really feeling any different. And it wasn't until I shared with you guys later that, I think it was the next meeting, that I just had some quite interesting reactions or interactions with some of the staff that, we'd all just come out of COVID and we were starting to get connected with each other again. And they're like, something's different about you. And they were interested in talking to me and, really like listening. And it wasn't until I shared in group that you said, oh, that's real king energy there. Like, and that's sort of like, okay, something maybe has changed. Maybe my confidence has changed. And I think that is the biggest thing with myself, is I'm more self-confident and more outwardly confident to be a captain of squad, and actually having the men listen to me and support me and all that kind of stuff. But even just being able to speak publicly, something that I was terrible at through high school, had a massive fear, would be drenched in sweat by now kind of thing. And I don't have that. I'm so much better with my words than I once was, being able to take the proper pause to be able to think, step my way through what I want to say. I would say the confidence is the biggest thing that I've gotten out of this. Aside from actually having that connection, probably one of the biggest wins that I've had was all of the group, past and current members, rocking up to celebrate my birthday last year. And I just put it out there. I'm like, hey guys, love to have a pizza night, and for you, all of you to come around. And every single one of them did. And I'm like, well, I can't say I don't have connection anymore, because everybody is here. And probably just being true to my word. Always sort of like, I'd say, oh yeah, I'm here to help you. And then would just like try to find some excuse to not be there. Very introverted, and just, wanted that connection, but just didn't want to go actually have to have that connection. It's like the like faking it, I guess, like imposter syndrome, right? Like, oh, I've got all these friends, but I actually don't see them. Or, I go and do all of these things, but I actually don't. I just say that, like, I hit accept on the invite, but I actually don't go. And now I do. Like, I'm fucking everywhere. Demonetize YouTube, by the way. Yeah, like, saying, oh, I'm going to be there. I'm going to help you, like, shovel some dirt for the entire day, and then actually show up and shovel dirt for the entire day and get a brother's front yard and backyard just completely done. Like, putting in the hard work and being there and being true to my word has a payoff effect of, like, I'm actually out there connecting with the people that I want to connect with. Having just like the casual chats and all of that kind of stuff, and just building that rapport with that person, and not expecting it back. Like, if I go do something for some man, I'm not expecting him to do it for me. It's not why I do it. If they do show up for me, great, awesome, thank you so much, appreciate you being here. But it's not expected. I think that sort of like integrity in my word, the intention in my word has been one of the biggest things that I've been able to foster and grow while in men's group, and the self-confidence, of course.
Yeah, I definitely see all of that. Yeah, I definitely see all of that, and especially the confidence. I think it's like the self-confidence is really prevalent, and you made reference to king energy. And I guess it's just, you have a presence about you now, and that sort of presence cannot go unnoticed. And I think that really is the goal of this work, is to give men a sense of presence. I think many men are missing out on having a sense of self, having a sense of presence. We can call it king energy. We can call it masculine energy. We can call it manly or, big dick energy. It's just that presence where a man is there with you. A man has himself, is grounded within himself. And to trust that within yourself, I really see that in you. And I certainly have seen that flourish and grow over the time that you've been in men's group. But like, I've known you for a lot longer than that. So to reflect upon when I first met you to the man that, I know now and am connected with, you have such a presence about you now, which is it's a beautiful thing to witness. And I'm really glad that you have had that change in your life.
And to be able to openly speak about it probably would be an answer for a follow-up question later on of something that I'm working on, is to have my own voice. And I think that goes hand in hand with the confidence and the presence, to have both of those things, but to be silent. Yeah, there's just the evolution of that. Is to then have the voice.
Absolutely. It's the evolution of that. 100%. It's that next step. It's the growth edge, building a sense of self, and then being present, and then being able to speak and show up to emulate that, whether you want to call it that light within and let it shine, or just be able to use your voice. And very similar to what you shared about in terms of showing up for men, like doing tasks or helping out the other men in group, or just people in general without that expectation of a return. I guess it's that new edge of having a voice and being proud in yourself that you spoke to what's here, speaking from the heart without an expectation that it lands, for the sake of speaking from the heart, not in having it change anything or influence anyone having that social external validation, like, oh yay, Tyler, you'll have a voice, or anything like that. It's just like, no, I've got a voice, and I have a voice, and so I'm going to give myself that voice that I deserve, and so on, and speak up for myself, self-respect, and that just be enough.
The part you mentioned about saying something but not being concerned with or worried about it landing was something that I definitely took away from Doug. It was something that he used to say quite a bit when I first started of, well, that's a them problem. And really sort of thinking on that and going, okay, well, if whatever I say, and as long as I'm speaking truthfully, honestly, and authentically from myself, whatever I say, and however you then receive that or interact with that or engage with that, that's on you. If you react to it out of, some sort of shadow aspect of yourself, well, then that's not your authentic reaction or response to it. And that's not on me. Like that's a you thing that you need to deal with. And I can certainly be there to support you and not engage or get caught up in that tit for tat or anything like that. I can still sit here and go, okay, what I said was what I wanted to say. You've said something back. Okay, where to from here? Rather than trying to solve that for them or, fix or engage with that if it's something that doesn't sit well with me, to allow that experience to be had. I think that's something that, now I'm sort of really starting to feel into a lot more of, I can say what I want to say and that's okay. And trusting my voice and trusting myself rather than getting in my own head about, I need to make sure that whatever I say, this person really needs to hear it, needs to be said right. If I don't say it right, then I probably shouldn't say it at all. And then I don't have a voice, right? So.
Well, you get caught up in the voice in your head, that's for certain, which then stops you from showing up, with a voice and so on. And I'm really glad that you added that second piece, in the sense of, yes, it's a them problem, but you're still not going to react to it. And I think that ability to respond, where I can say something, and if there's an emotional reaction from the other person, I can hold space for their reaction and not make it personal. Like it's a them problem, okay, but not in a way of that's a you problem, being dismissive. But it just in the sense of yeah, I can see why, I can see why you reacted that way. I might have said something that hurt your ego, or, I can see your defenses showing up. And that'd be the internal dialogue, as opposed to, oh no, I've done something wrong. Oh no, I knew I shouldn't have had a voice. Oh no, I need to fix this. I need to take back my word, or any of that. To be able to go, yep, I'm going to speak my truth. And whatever happens is the way it's supposed to happen. And I've got me, and I can sit in safety. And if they have an emotional reaction, then I can hold space for their emotional reaction, knowing that it's most likely an emotional reaction. And if they react, I can still respond. And that's like a superpower. Like the ability to not take things personally. It is a superpower, man. And especially around having a voice, or just in life, in life, to not be reactive, to not make everything about you as a human being, as a man, to stop the inner dialogue of making meaning of everything, like the internal dialogue of making meaning about everything and anything that happens to us. That's a real flex. So I can definitely see how you are coming into that space, for sure, and certainly how that was a growth edge for you, for sure.
Still is.
And still is, yeah. And you're an imperfect human. as I've said to you and many others, it's just like, how awfully human of you. What's been your favorite process? Like, what's been something that really highlights as like, oof, that's something that I just love about this work? Or
watching a couple of the others, their response has been the gauntlet run. And I did enjoy that. I actually enjoyed the one that we did on our Warrior weekend up at Halls Gap, where I think one of the guys, pretty much drilled everybody and stuff like that. But it was really fun just going after something that you were wanting and just like pushing through, soldiering on. Thought that was a really cool process. But for me, it's the simple things. Breath work at the start of every meeting. Never done any of it before starting. And doing 3 rounds of HOF and into push-ups at the end of it, really pushing, and then just, lying on your back or sitting up and just coming back into self, being grounded. I take that as like one of the best processes that we do, and we do it every week. And it's something that I can, because it's done so much, I take it into my own life, and I breathe and I calm myself, I ground myself. If I get frustrated, I'll, especially at work, I could get something come in and I'll be like, oh my God, what the hell? And I'll just nick out the back there and do some push-ups and sit in quiet for a little bit, and then come back and re-engage, send off the email or whatever it is. And the other process I've really liked, and was one that when I first got the chance to, in lieutenancy, to run a process, was the one that I found made me really connect with the other men, was the gratitude process, but with writing. It kind of helped me get a little bit like of a, being able to put my thoughts to paper and then to read them out. And that process there of putting things to paper, thinking of those things, writing my thoughts out, and then speaking them, made them feel a lot more true. Made them hit home just that bit more. And so when I was able to, have that opportunity to run that process, that was the first one that I went to, because I really enjoyed that. So I would say, both of those would be my 2 favorites.
Yeah, that gratitude process certainly is a real good one. And especially we don't do it often, but I do like the ones where there's a bit of writing, a bit more sort of like, physical action of writing things down. It gets guys out of their head in many ways. But just to be able to sort of then speak and give voice to, what did really come out in that written word. You know what I mean? Like, that is a good one. I do like that one.
Yeah.
What's one that you haven't liked? What's a process that you haven't liked?
The dead bug. Fucking hated that. Probably like early on, that was my insecurity coming up of like, being on the ground, flailing around like a bug. Am I doing this right? Like, I look like an idiot here. And then to be able to say like, what was the prompt? It was like, I'm a fucking cockroach or something like that because of, and then like the ways in which you're a piece of shit. Or you can be, the ways you think about that.
I'm a dead bug because.
That was probably one that like early on, I'm just like, I don't like it. The awkwardness, and then also the speaking to ways of which you can be a bug and all that kind of stuff. That's probably the one that I disliked.
Fair. That's
Yeah.
it's a very uncomfortable process.
Hmm.
Good thing that we can, it's good that we are able to do hard things though. So,
Hmm.
and every man did show up very uncomfortable, but willing. And I
Hmm.
think that's again, that that allows the change, that allows the process to land and move energy, from that within.
One that I guess it's a slight tangent, but one that I definitely struggled with, even though like I didn't not like it or like it, but definitely struggled with, was the forgiveness letter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a spicy one.
yeah, that. And again, same thing. Writing it down and then reading it out. And I think that's why I enjoy those types of processes, because especially for me, when reading mine out, I broke down. But when writing it, no feelings whatsoever. So having to write something down and then read it out, I feel allows you to connect in. You're actually saying the things that are in your head. So you actually get to connect with the emotion attached to that. And so, yeah, that was definitely something that I struggled with, but certainly, taking a wider view of those types of processes definitely do enjoy
Mm.
now. So,
The amount of burden that we carry day to day because we are unwilling to forgive, whether it be ourselves or those that hurt us, it's just immense. And, it has certainly been a growth edge for me. It's been one of my biggest challenges in forgiveness, because I had the sense that if I forgave, that excused or dismissed, like excused their behavior, excused the way in which they made me feel, dismissed my own feelings. But the thing that I've learned is they don't, or, again, it's like, it's a me problem. My lack of forgiveness is a me problem. They don't even know that I haven't forgiven them. Very rarely does the other person know that we aren't forgiving them. And so the longer that I held on to resentment or pain, like it was just me. Like I was the one that was carrying the pain and the burden because of my reluctance to forgive. And then further, even just forgiving myself, like all of the ways in which that I have let myself down. Something I see in you that I see in myself is a potential over criticism of self, that perfectionist tendency. And so, to forgive ourselves for the imperfection, for the mistakes, it's a liberating practice. And then recommitting to our word and doing our best to show up with that framework of liberation. And there's some real gold in that. How do you see what needs to change, or how do you see the potential for change in men's mental health, and what society needs to do for men, or what men need to do for themselves in becoming, this more present, kingly man, or anything along those lines?
I think it has to do with the stuckness that we as men can get ourselves into. And from, I guess, looking at society today, there's this whole sort of talk about you are perfect just the way you are. which I think keeps us stuck, which I think keeps us from not being a better self or striving for more. And I think what I read it somewhere, I can't remember the book. I think it was Jason Donovan's, one of his books, one of his recent ones, where he spoke about men not, or, society deconstructing gods and heroes as something for us to strive towards, to look up to want to become. And I think that's lost. Where, if we're told we're, just perfect, just the way we are, why would we want to become anything more? Why would we like, oh, okay, so, I don't show up to work on time every day, but that's okay because, I'm perfect just the way I am. But then I get fired because I'm not showing up to work. Well, now I'm the victim because I got fired because I'm perfect. But, they're not accepting me where I am. It's like, well, maybe you should turn up to work on time and you should work on yourself to be able to do that. So, striving to be better than you are. And I think that's what men's work really helps to be able to be okay with where you're at and have that support to be better.
I think that's a great reference in kind of like what we were talking about earlier, in the sense of imperfection. Like, how awfully human of you. In case in point, how imperfect of you. It's that sense of being imperfect. And yes, okay, that's okay. And take responsibility and accountability for your humanness and strive towards the divine, strive towards the God aspect of it. Humans were never meant to be gods, right? In that sense. But it was that the epitome of to strive towards something, knowing that you'll never actually fulfill it, but my God, your life will change because of that sense of direction.
It's the qualities, and the aspects of those gods and heroes that you want to embody in yourself. The strength, go to gym and train. The knowledge, okay, read a book, ingest, learn, that sort of thing. Like, to not be a god, and not, you can't reach that, but you can certainly embody the qualities of that to better your life.
I think it's the embodiment of those qualities that really do get missed a lot. And, that's why we do the archetypes process within men's work. And that's the very first thing that men have to do when they join a squad.
Right.
In the sense of having this epitome of characteristics, this absolute ideal of reference of traits that you could strive towards embodying, and understanding where you are in the sense of the shadow, these unideal, the imperfect ways. So taking account, being responsible for where you are and how you show up in life via your characteristics, which create separation. I think that's why, like, Marvel movies or hero movies are so popular, or action movies are so popular, especially for men, is because it's kind of like that taste of this energy that we all strive and really seek. And yet, I think that it's like we put that energy into, like, wow, look at, Captain America, or, Iron Man, or Thor, or, I watched Thor last night, so it's on the tip of my brain, obviously. But, it's this sense of the hero complex where, oh yeah, it would be great, but I could never be like that, so I won't even try. It's that victim mentality that you spoke to earlier. And so even if we as men could be 1% of Captain America, or, God, and not in terms of the religious, but the divine of this masculine archetype, Zeus or Hercules, or, all of these archetypes that can give us reference. If we could be 1% embodied as a king, our life will change. And that 1%, if we can choose one thing every single day that fulfills a characteristic of the king, of the warrior, of the magician, and the lover, which realistically, again, the characteristic traits of completion, or a sense of direction, discipline, and assertiveness. Again, assertiveness versus aggression, whole nother conversation. Wisdom and insight, and presence and connectedness. I say king, warrior, magician, lover, and people sort of go, huh? But if I say, strive towards having a sense of completeness and sense of direction in your life, have a sense of, build towards a sense of discipline and assertiveness, self-confidence, and trust in self. Grow, so your growth edge is in a way this ability to be wise, to learn more about yourself, and to see the bigger picture, to not be as reactive, and to be present and connected to yourself and the world around you. That is the archetypes. Those are the characteristic traits those are the potential characteristics that lie within every man, and the individualization of how that can be portrayed for men is what's missed in today's society, I think. It's the nuance. It's the lack of... Well, what did you say earlier about the deconstruction of the hero? It's like, it's that. It's...
Yeah.
It really, I think you're bang on, in the sense that so many men are just trying to tick the box. I mean, a lot of men are struggling. A lot of men are in survival mode. A lot of men are just doing the best they can with what they've been given. A lot of men are struggling at the best of times. And so it's very hard to work on yourself when you're already just trying to tread water and feeling like you're drowning. But that sense of something to strive towards, there's some real magic in that. There's some real potential in that. And again, that's what men's work is to be in a community of men that are willing to look at themselves and learn from one another. I think that's the really cool thing, to see aspects of ourselves that we don't want to see in other men, and have that mirrored back to us. So I think that's a really cool piece of the work.
Yeah, certainly. That kind of went on a bit of a side tangent there.
As as our conversations generally do.
Yeah. Yeah, the stockness that I think we get into by just treading water and doing the best that we can with what we've got doesn't move us forward. And that forward momentum for men is really key. Yeah.
It's a really good point around forward movement, because it's what we are defining as forward movement. Like, I think the milestones are a little bit unhelpful, I guess, in today's society, because our measuring stick of success is, how much money we're making, what cars or what things are in our life. And so this the addicted lover, that constantly trying to fill the void. So men are doing things, it would be very hard for many men to be called up in that sense of, you're not moving forward. And then they go, what do you mean? Like, I've been working on my own business for 10 years. I've got this, big whiz bang house. I've got these things. How dare you? Like, I'm working really hard. Totally. I know that you're working hard. I didn't say that you're not. What I'm saying is that you are the same man. You are showing up in the world the exact same way that you have the last 10 years. And that's the difference. If, after 8 months of being in the men's group, and your colleagues are saying there's something different about you, right? That's the stuckness that I think you're referring to.
Correct. Yeah.
And so just to really lay that on thick for, for the listeners and for the, for the men that this does get in front of, is this sense of stuckness is just knowing that you are treading water in this addictedness of filling the void that lies within. And you think that the next flashy thing is going to fill that void, and it just isn't.
Yeah. Like the new car, you go out and buy a new car, but then you come home and you're still just having, there's no fulfillment there. Like, you're still just sitting on a couch and doing nothing. Well, that new car isn't like, isn't what you needed. Maybe you needed something else. And then trying to find that and it's like, oh, well, now I've got like a new laptop. Maybe that'll help me, right? But then you just get stuck into doing more and more work, and it's you're not present at home, and you wonder why, you're fighting with your partner or something like that, and it's like, well, maybe that's not what I needed. And then you're just you're trying to find, or maybe I need to start taking my wife out on dates more, right? And so you go do that, but then you're on your phone all the time, or you're not connecting in and stuff like that. And it's like, well, maybe that's not what I needed. And it's like what you're speaking to, just filling that void of trying to put something in place rather than actually going, what do I actually need? What is my inner voice, my inner child or something like that telling me that I need?
You make a great point, in the sense that you can have the fancy job, you can have the fancy car, you can have the fancy house, and still feel alone, still feel isolated, still not feel confident, still not feel enough. You can start hanging, it's really interesting that, from many aspects of talking to men, It's like, yeah, I don't know why I'm, like I can't find a woman or a partner that, that like, it's just like, how many men are dating at the moment that have the car, have the house, all the bells and whistles, right? But they just don't know how to connect, or their partners don't trust them, or their partners you just don't know how to communicate. You don't know how to connect. Or you're just grinding away at a job that is leading you nowhere, and you just live for the weekend. But even the weekends, you're kind of just like, oh, wow, like it's the grind, like, oh, I look after my lawn, I smoke some meats, maybe. The seeking of fulfillment is embedded in how lost men are in today's society, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving, that was good. I like that. That was a solid dialogue. I like that. You semi-touched on what you are currently working on. I guess, yeah, talk more about that.
Yeah, so that is at the moment building my voice and being confident with what I'm saying and putting out into the world, really, as part of the accountability that I have for this quarter, is to really promote and drive the Ballarat squad to be more out in the community, to reach more men. I think it's great that we've been able to do this podcast and sort of, as a whole for Alchemy of Man, to be able to push that word out a bit more as well. So, yeah, just knowing that I have the support from yourself and the guys in group to then be able to go, okay, I'm going to put my word out there. This is me in Ballarat, and I want you to come in and do men's work with me. That's what I'm working on at the moment. So.
Yeah, it's I think what's just showed up for me, which is just really interesting, is yes, your growth edge is to having a voice or giving yourself a voice, but really it's like an ownership, like taking ownership of your worth, your leadership, your qualities as a man and as a leader. You're really stepping into this ownership of Ballarat Squad. You're taking ownership of your voice and your skills as a facilitator, your leadership qualities. And yeah, you're allowing yourself to be seen and heard accordingly. And that's great to see. It's just, I must say, it's just brilliant to see. It's very cool.
Yeah, the ownership side of things, like, I think that's something that I have struggled with to, like, I could hear it time and time again, you're doing a great job, we've got your back. The fact that the men keep showing up week to week, well, it's like there must be something in that, right? And it's taken time for me to be like, okay, to start to believe it and then embody it and push forward. Yeah, I would always keep myself stuck in that sense of like not trusting myself, not trusting my word, not trusting my worth, not trusting my skills, not believing in myself. And maybe that last part is more what I'm working on rather than my voice. It's believing myself. And with that confidence and belief, what I'm putting out into the world is then going to be received so much more purely than it being really forced or not being said at all. To like Doug and I, put our feet to the pavement yesterday and walked around Ballarat handing out posters and stuff like that. And all through the week, I'm just like, no one's going to accept these posters. Like, they're just going to be like, what's a men's group? No, we're not into that. We're not going to put that up on our window or whatever. And, to just going, no, believe in yourself, believe that there is a worth to this and that you are worth being out in the community. And we only got one knockback out of all the places that we went to yesterday. And the only knockback was they had a policy of, no, sorry, we can't put anything up that's not already approved by management. I was like, okay, well, that's not a reflection they wanted to. So, it's believing and putting that energy out and then having it received. The work that I've been doing just like within these last 4 weeks, really believing in myself and wanting to get more members in. I've had 2 guys reach out to me directly to me and want to join. Hell yeah. I'm totally down for that. And I think it's just that sort of like that cycle of putting out and, and then coming back. The stuckness, like if you just stay stagnant, well, whatever you want to come back isn't going to come back because you're not putting out. So,
yeah, man, it's so cool. It's really, really cool to see you take ownership of Ballarat and just grab the bull by the horns and take action. You have taken some massive action. And regardless of what comes back to you, the real beauty or the real achievement is that you put yourself forward. Again, it's that action without expectation. To be able to sort of say, yep, I'm putting my foot to the pavement, and that was a growth edge for me. And that's my voice, and that's me showing up. That's me taking ownership. And I just believe in myself. And I believe in myself because I believe in myself. So other people's actions aren't a reflection of my belief. My belief is enough. There's some power to that. And yeah, I just really acknowledge you for that. So yeah, power to you, man. It's sick.
Yeah, what was it? The claim for the quarter was to have 5 new members. And the work that I would do that quarter, regardless of how much was achieved, how many men actually did join, the key to that was that at the end of the quarter, if I could sit back and be like, I'm proud of everything that I just did without internalized judgment, I would be moving away from the one thing that has been keeping me stuck and the archetype that we do talk about in group, which is the masochist, the internalized attacking of oneself. And if I could just be proud of, like, if I only get the 2 guys that have signed up and that's it, nothing else happens, and be proud in that and the work that I did and the voice that I put out and owning Ballarat Squad, and not go, well, I didn't get the 5. Fuck me, I'm a piece of shit. That is creating that separation. I'm moving forward. I'm becoming unstuck.
Mm. Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. And whether these 2 guys who have reached out do put their names on the line and do, show up, regardless, is the fact that you did show up and that you did move this energy. And yeah, again, that awareness of the tendency towards the masochist and choosing different, behaving different, and allowing yourself to sit in a sense of pride that you moved energy, which is, again, the warrior is the discipline. The warrior is the commitment to something bigger. That's the warrior energy. And you've done that, which obviously moves you away from the masochist. So yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm, and like, again, it's like this dismissing of those two men as well. Like, again, it's like, oh, it's only two men that have joined. It's two men's lives that you get to change or support, and the flow on effect from that. I just think about like you joining. You are one man that made a commitment to joining this squad. And just think about all of the influence that you've had in your family's lives, the people around you, your workplace, but just purely you, right? It's like that sense of, I can sit in pride that I am fulfilling my purpose, not because I have, because I don't have thousands and thousands of men in this work under, this banner of Alchemy of Man project. No, I've got under 10 men, but those 10 men have stepped forward into this work, and they are unstucking themselves. And that is worthwhile.
100%. And
so for me to work on my inner masochist, again, something I see in you that I see in myself, that sense of, I'm incredibly proud of what I have provided to the world via you, the one man that I've supported, Doug, the one man that I've connected with, and even Harry, last week, that interviewed, and his podcast will be this week, being put out there, episode 4. He's not in group anymore, and he is still influencing. We talked beautifully about how he is supporting like a mate of his right now. That influence is the butterfly effect, and a lot of it goes unseen by me. But that belief that in knowing that I am putting good work out and just believing that that's enough, it's an incredible thing. So yeah, it's great that I get to share that with you and see that in you, because I see it in myself. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So coming to close to the end of this podcast and this episode, the last question that I've been asking all the guys is, and giving them an opportunity to ask me a question. So yeah, if you've got something for me, shoot. If not, that's okay.
No, I actually didn't have anything for this, really. Guess it was more just, wanting to enjoy this open dialogue that we do have from, our personal conversations. No, I actually didn't really have a question. So
perfect. That's okay.
That's okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely okay. And we've had a beautiful dialogue. And the tangents and the ability to just have dialogue. The opportunity to connect.
That's what I was here for. That's been my primary thing of joining, and the fact that, being able to build that connection with yourself and build that connection with the other men in group, being able to, as an extension of me doing the work, bring my brother-in-law in. And now he's doing the work, to have these connections and friendships, all of us catching up for brekkie yesterday. And, that in itself is just a wonderful thing that I get to be a part of and have in my life. Certainly miss you all the way across the continent from Victoria to WA. And yeah, like the spark that I get from coming along to Monday night meetings and being able to join in circle with you as a man has been quite fulfilling. And to then just catch up and have calls and talk about certain things, I'm filled with excitement for late Feb next year, coming across and being able to catch up with you and go to Elimination Chamber together, and to bring along a couple of mates from Victoria as well, and have them meet you, and for all of us to hang out again. That connection that I've wanted, I now have in my life, and that's something that it does not go unnoticed. It does not sit in the back of the mind and stuff. I bless every day that I have these connections, and also thank myself for putting myself out there, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have them. So,
yeah, man,
I'm acknowledgement to you that what we have, I truly appreciate.
Likewise, man. And yeah, I'm super keen for February. I'll be back, hopefully be back in Vic in January for a quick little visit. And then obviously, yeah, late Feb, you and the guys coming across. Yeah, it's really nice. And I definitely echo that sense of connection that I am blessed to have and sit in acknowledgement and gratitude for. So, thank you for joining me in this dialogue. It is great. And, and I as well, like, I really do like the fact that you did join the online squad, in addition to leading the in-person squad in Ballarat, but, joining me on Monday nights on the online squad, so you and I can sit in circle and connect. But also for you to show up as a man. I think that's one of the hard parts about leadership, is it does get lonely. It does get hard to be leading men, leading the charge. And so for you to come into a space as a man and know that you get to just, show up and not have to facilitate, not have to think, not have to process, not having to do anything, but you get to, hold space for the other men, of course, as we do in circle, but just to be there as a man and be supported, I think that's really great. And I'm privileged that, that I get to do that for you still, because I certainly miss that connection, with you and the other guys for sure. And yeah, it's great that these online squads are building and getting momentum. And I've got a few guys who have reached out that want to join as well. So again, it's this momentum that we'll build out this Monday night online squad and see what happens and get a few more going. And it really is the catalyst of, the online squad is the catalyst, because when a man does join an online squad and gets a taste for this work, and then after time I can support him in starting his own squad in, wherever he is in Australia or the world, maybe. And so then that's how this work grows and builds momentum. And that's how the butterfly effect of influence can really take charge. And yeah, that's what I'm committed to. that's why, that's why we're here. Well, that's why I'm here. And every day I acknowledge each man, again, maybe not directly, but internally, the matter of influence, and again, ensuring that I am measuring backwards of what has been achieved rather than measuring the potential, measuring against this future perfect thing that I hope that it will go. Again, it's like, have goals, have ambitions, but measure backwards from, where you are and where you've started. It's been a growth edge of mine, but it's certainly something that I sit in.
Yeah. Something that I see in you, that I see in myself, right? Glad I could throw that one in there. Yeah, especially when you were training me at gym. And I had no idea how to do a squat. How embarrassing, right? And you filmed me, also equally embarrassing. And then occasionally you would film again and again, and I'd be doing those steps and processes, and to filming me doing my first unassisted bar on back squat, and you in the background, I still watch that video, right? And I still watch them through, because that is that measuring back of, I didn't know how to do a squat, and then you there cheering me, going, fuck yeah, get it. And me doing it, like, that's the measuring back, rather than going, well, I didn't know how to do a squat, and now I can. Rather than going, well, I still can't do X, Y, Z, or something like that. Like, I'm not lifting as much as what I should, or whatever. The sort of like the reaching of the ideal versus, no, back where you were, you've come this far, right? The looking back to, oh geez, I'm quoting my work now. The company I work for just celebrated 50 years, and the quote is looking back, seeing forward. So yeah, to know where you need to head, you do need to look back to see where you've come from. So yeah, I think that's really cool that we're both using that to help ourselves grow, and to stay grounded in what we want to achieve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And practicing it, you know what I mean? Like, there's a big difference between having the dialogue and practicing or embodying the dialogue. And, it is a practice, or in many cases, it's unpracticed. It will feel awkward. And, the willingness to just try, or the willingness to be lousy at something. Like you starting at the gym, that was a huge growth edge for you, because again, you had a belief around gym. You had a belief around lifting weights and being in a space like that. And you were willing to be uncomfortable in the imperfection or the not knowing. And then you coming into this work, into the men's group, willing to be uncomfortable in everything that goes along with that. And even now, as a captain, giving yourself a voice, willing to be uncomfortable. Yesterday, handing out those posters and connecting, hitting the pavement, as you said, willing to be rejected, willing to be uncomfortable. And so I just really acknowledge your willingness, which is not something that you've learnt from this work. It's there within you. And you've just been able to go from strength to strength in that. Again, me witnessing and measuring backwards. Something that I see in you is your willingness. So yeah, just acknowledging that.
Received, brother.
Well, man, this has been a beautiful conversation, and thank you for having my back and showing up, even though you did make me wait. But no, I really appreciate your time. Obviously, giving up a Sunday morning for me in recording this. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking care of my baby in the men's group of Ballarat and taking good care of the men. I knew that you would. Thank you for having my back in this podcast and in life. I deeply appreciate our connection that we've been able to develop and build from strength to strength. Just thank you for being a quality man in the world.
Thank you for having me along, man. It's been a great ride.